Williams had always believed that love could weather any storm. When he met Priska, it had been like stepping into a dream, a vivid, exhilarating dream where the world shrank to the size of their entwined fingers. She was radiant, with dark curls cascading down her back and eyes, so piercing they seemed to peel away his defenses. For Williams, who had spent most of his adult life navigating the cold precision of business deals, Priska was a revelation, a burst of warmth in his otherwise calculated world. But warmth, he soon learned, could burn. From the beginning, their love had been turbulent. Priska's heart was as fierce as her beauty. She loved with a kind of intensity that left no room for half measures. Williams adored her for it, but that same intensity came with shadows dark, gnawing shadows of mistrust. "Where were you?" Priska had asked one evening, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. "I told you, Priska. I had a meeting. It ran late," Williams replied, his voice soft, almost pleading.
Her eyes narrowed. "And I'm supposed to believe that. Who was there?" "Another one of your business partners. Another woman." Williams sighed. He had long since learned that denying Priska's suspicions only fueled them. "Priska," he said, stepping closer, "you know I love you. Why would I jeopardize what we have for anyone else?" She crossed her arms, her lips trembling. "You don't understand, Williams. I've seen how women look at you, how they laugh at your jokes and hang on every word. You're too good-looking, too successful. It's only a matter of time before you leave me." Her voice cracked, and Williams felt the familiar pang of guilt. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her tight. "I'm not going anywhere, Priska," he whispered into her hair. "You're my world." For a moment, she melted into his embrace, and the storm passed. Counting down to the next explosion, a love on edge. The weeks that followed were a fragile dance. Williams tread carefully, avoiding anything that might ignite Priska's fears. Yet, his work demanded interactions she often misinterpreted. His latest business deal was a high-stakes venture with a tech startup, and his partner, Elena, was a sharp, ambitious woman whose professionalism Priska refused to see. "She called you 3 times today," Priska said one evening, holding up his phone like evidence in a trial. "Priska, it's work. You know that," Williams said, keeping his voice steady.
"Or something else?
Does she laugh at your jokes too?
Does she touch your arm when she talks to you?" Priska's voice grew louder. Her face flushed.
Enough.
William snapped, the weight of her accusations finally breaking his patience.
Elena is my business partner, nothing more.
"Why can't you trust me?"
Priska's eyes widened, and for a moment, Williams thought she might lash out. Instead, she sank to the floor, sobbing.
"I can't lose you, Williams," she cried. "If you leave me, I'll kill myself. I mean it." Williams knelt beside her, his frustration dissolving into despair.
Priska, don't say things like that. I love you.
"But we can't keep living like this." She clung to him, her nails digging into his arms.
Then promise me, she whispered. Promise me you'll never give me a reason to doubt you. I promise, he said, though the words felt hollow. The breaking point. The breaking point came on a sunny afternoon.
Williams had just returned from a meeting with Elena,
during which they had finalized a deal that would secure his company's future.
He was in high spirits, eager to share the news with Priska.
But as he entered their home, he knew something was wrong. Priska was sitting on the couch, her phone in hand, her face pale and rigid.
"Who is she?"
Priska demanded, holding up her phone.
Williams froze.
On the screen was a photo of him and Elena at lunch, smiling. Priska, it's not what you think, he began, but she cut him off. Not what I think.
You're laughing with her, looking at her like she's the most interesting person in the world.
Priska, it was a business lunch. We were celebrating closing the deal. Her laughter was cold and brittle.
Celebrating? With her?
While I sit here wondering if you even care about me anymore? Priska, stop, William said, his voice firm. You're making something out of nothing. But Priska was beyond reason.
She stood abruptly, her movements frantic. You don't get it, Williams. You don't understand what it's like to feel invisible, to feel like you're not enough.
You are enough,
Williams shouted, his frustration boiling over.
But your jealousy is destroying us.
For a moment, silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. Then Priska's eyes narrowed, and she stormed into the kitchen.
Priska,
Williams called after her, but she didn't respond.
He followed her, only to see her grabbing a pot of water from the stove,
steam rising from its surface.
Priska, What are you doing? He asked, his voice laced with panic. You think you can humiliate me? Make a fool of me? She screamed, lifting the pot. Priska put it down, Williams said, stepping closer. But before he could reach her, she flung the water at him.
The pain was immediate and searing. Williams cried out,
clutching his chest as the scalding water soaked through his shirt. Priska, he gasped, stumbling backward. Her expression shifted from rage to horror as she realized what she'd done.
Oh my God, Williams! I didn't mean to. But Williams couldn't hear her over the roaring in his ears. The pain was blinding.
And all he could think was that the woman
he loved had hurt him in a way
he never thought possible. Aftermath. Hours later, Williams sat in the emergency room, his chest wrapped in bandages. The doctor had assured him the burns were superficial, but the emotional wounds run far deeper.
Priska sat beside him, her eyes red and swollen.
I'm so sorry, Williams, she whispered.
I don't know what came over me.
He didn't respond. He couldn't.
When they returned home, the silence between them was unbearable. Priska tried to apologize again, but Williams stopped her.
Priska, we need help, he said.
This isn't normal.
It's not healthy. I'll do anything, she said, her voice trembling. I'll see a therapist. I'll go to counseling. Just don't leave me, Williams, please. He looked at her, his heart aching.
Despite everything, he still loved her. But love, he realized, wasn't enough. Trust, respect, and safety were just as vital. And without them, their relationship was a house built on sand.
Priska, he said softly, I love you.
But if we're going to make this work, things have to change. She nodded, tears streaming down her face.
They will.
I promise. Williams wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that their love could survive this. But as he lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, he couldn't shake the image of Priska with the pot of water. Love, he thought, should never hurt this much.